You've probably asked this question at least once this year. Which AI should I actually be using? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. They all claim to be the best, and you're tired of guessing. Here's what I've learned after testing all three on real work tasks. There is no best AI. There's only the best AI for what you're trying to do right now. Today we're breaking this down task by task. By the end, you'll know exactly which tool to reach for, and which subscription you can probably cancel. Let me give you the short version up front. Claude wins for coding and accuracy. ChatGPT wins for creativity and versatility. Gemini wins if you live inside Google Workspace. But those headlines hide the real story. Because the differences are not small, and choosing wrong can cost you hours of fixing mediocre output. Most people are paying $20 a month for one of these tools. Some are paying $60 for all three, and nearly everyone is using them wrong for at least half their tasks. So let's fix that. We're going through coding, writing, research, data analysis, and Google integration, showing you which tool actually performs best in each category. First, let's acknowledge how dramatically the landscape has shifted. Just 2 years ago, this was basically ChatGPT versus everything else. That's no longer true. ChatGPT still leads in market share, but its dominance is shrinking. Meanwhile, Claude and Gemini have developed genuinely distinct strengths that matter for specific workflows. Here's the number that surprised me. ChatGPT's market share dropped 19 points in 2026, falling to 68% as Gemini surged to 18%. That shift happened because users discovered something important. Being first to market doesn't mean being best for every task. The competition caught up, and in some areas, passed them. Now all three cost the same at the premium tier, $20 per month, so price is no longer a differentiator. The only question is which one delivers more value for your work. All three major AI assistants, ChatGPT Plus, Claude Pro, and Gemini Advanced, have settled at identical $20 monthly pricing, making this a pure performance comparison. Let's start with what might be the highest stakes use case: coding. If you're a developer, or someone who writes code occasionally, this matters a lot. Claude absolutely dominates coding benchmarks right now. On SWE Bench Verified, the industry standard for measuring code generation, Claude scores 80.9%. Compare that to GPT's roughly 70% and Gemini's approximately 65%. That's not a marginal difference. Claude is meaningfully more accurate at generating working code. In practice, what does that 10 to 15% gap mean? It means fewer bugs on the first try, less back and forth debugging, code that actually runs without mysterious errors. If you write code regularly, whether you're a professional developer or just automating spreadsheets, Claude should be your default tool. The accuracy gap is too significant to ignore. But coding isn't just about raw benchmark scores. Let's talk about something equally important: how well these tools explain what they're doing and help you learn. Claude tends to provide more thoughtful explanations by default. It often tells you why it made certain choices, not just what code to copy and paste. ChatGPT is more concise, which is sometimes what you want. When you just need working code fast, ChatGPT's directness can actually be an advantage. Gemini integrates well with Google Colab, which is genuinely useful if that's already part of your workflow. But its code accuracy lags noticeably behind the other two. Now let's shift to writing, creative writing, business writing, emails, and content. This is where the hierarchy gets more interesting. According to testing from Type AI, Claude requires the least editing for tone and produces the most naturally human-sounding content among the three assistants. Claude's writing comes across less robotic, less obviously AI-generated. If you've ever received AI-written content that felt weirdly formal or stiff, you know why this matters. But here's where ChatGPT shines: versatility and creativity. When you need brainstorming, unusual ideas, or creative exploration, ChatGPT often produces more diverse options. ChatGPT seems more willing to take creative risks. Claude tends toward careful, measured responses. Depending on your task, either approach could be better. For polished business, writing that needs minimal editing, try Claude first. For creative brainstorming where you want lots of options, ChatGPT is often the better starting point. Now let's talk about research. gathering information, synthesizing sources, and avoiding the hallucination problem that plagues all AI tools. Claude wins for research requiring minimal hallucinations and the ability to process huge volumes of context. Its accuracy on factual claims is notably higher than competitors. Claude's large context window, how much text it can process at once, makes it exceptional for analyzing long documents, research papers, or complex technical materials. But here's where Gemini deserves serious consideration. It has something the others don't: direct, real-time integration with Google Search. Gemini's deep research feature and tight Google Search integration make it superior for research-intensive tasks where you need current, web-based information rather than just analysis. If you need to know what happened yesterday, or compare current prices, or find the latest news on a topic, Gemini has a real advantage because it's pulling live data. Claude and ChatGPT can browse the web too, but it feels bolted on rather than native. Gemini was built with Google's search infrastructure from the ground up. For analyzing documents you already have, use Claude. For research requiring fresh web information, Gemini is genuinely better. Match the tool to your source material. Speaking of Google, let's address the elephant in the room. If your work already lives in Google Workspace, Gemini has integration advantages the others can't match. Gemini can read your emails, access your Drive files, and work with your Google Docs directly. That's not just convenient. It fundamentally changes what's possible. Imagine asking your AI assistant to summarize the last month of project emails, or to find a document you vaguely remember from 6 months ago. Gemini can actually do that. Neither Claude nor ChatGPT can access your Google account data with that level of integration. They work with what you paste in, not what's already in your cloud. If you're a heavy Google Workspace user, seriously consider Gemini as your primary tool. The integration alone might save you more time than any benchmark advantage. Now let's cover a capability that's become increasingly important: multimodal tasks. That's a fancy way of saying working with images, PDFs, and mixed media. Gemini performs better in multimodal tasks because it was originally designed as a multimodal model, while ChatGPT added multimodality later as an enhancement. What does that mean in practice? Gemini tends to understand images more accurately and can work with visual content more naturally than its competitors. Claude and ChatGPT can both handle images. This isn't an exclusive feature, but Gemini's native multimodal design gives it an edge for complex visual analysis. If you regularly work with charts, diagrams, screenshots, or visual documents, try Gemini for these tasks. Its image comprehension is noticeably stronger in practice. Let's address data analysis, spreadsheets, numbers, business intelligence. This is where things get more nuanced, because all three have developed reasonable capabilities. ChatGPT has the advanced data analysis mode, which can actually run Python code on your data. That's powerful for technical users who need programmatic analysis. Gemini connects naturally to Google Sheets, which is excellent if that's where your data lives. Direct integration means less copying and pasting, fewer formatting errors. Claude is better at explaining what the data means in plain English. If you need insights communicated clearly to non-technical stakeholders, Claude often writes better summaries. For programmatic analysis, ChatGPT. For Google Sheets integration, Gemini. For explaining findings to humans, Claude. Pick based on where your workflow needs the most help. Now here's a question I get constantly. Should I just pay for all three? At $60 a month total, is the multi-subscription approach worth it? For most people, no. The free tiers of all three are actually pretty good, and they're getting better. Premium is only worth it for your primary tool. Here's my recommendation. Pay for one subscription based on your most common task type. Use free tiers of the other two for occasional specialized needs. If you code daily, pay for Claude. If you create content and brainstorm constantly, pay for ChatGPT. If you live in Google Workspace, pay for Gemini. The free tiers will cover your edge cases. You'll occasionally hit limits, but for most users, one paid subscription plus 2 free accounts covers 90% of needs. Let's talk about privacy considerations, because this matters for professional work. Each company has different policies about how they handle your data. Gemini's deep Google integration means Google has access to even more of your data. If you're already a heavy Google user, this might not change much, but it's worth considering. Claude and ChatGPT both offer enterprise tiers with stronger privacy guarantees, including options where your data isn't used for training. This matters for sensitive business information. For sensitive business data, check each platform's enterprise options and data usage policies. Free tiers typically have weaker privacy protections than paid plans. Let me give you a quick reference framework you can save for later. Think of it as a cheat sheet for which tool to grab first based on your task. Coding and debugging. Claude first. It's not close. The accuracy gap is significant enough that you'll save time even if you prefer ChatGPT's interface. Creative brainstorming and idea generation. ChatGPT first. It takes more creative risks and generates more diverse options when you're exploring possibilities. Polished business writing. Claude first. The output needs less editing and sounds more naturally human. Your recipients probably won't realize it's AI-assisted. Research with web sources. Gemini first. Its Google search integration is genuinely better for finding and synthesizing current information from the web. Document analysis. Claude first. Its large context window and accuracy make it best for understanding long documents, contracts, research papers, and technical specs. Google Workspace tasks. Gemini, obviously. If you need to work with your Gmail, Drive, Docs, or Sheets, Gemini's native integration is unmatched. Image and visual analysis. Gemini first. Its native multimodal design handles charts, diagrams, screenshots, and visual content more accurately than competitors. Now, these recommendations aren't absolute. All three tools are improving constantly, and what's true today might shift in 6 months as new versions release. The goal isn't to pick a winner forever. It's to develop the habit of matching tools to tasks, rather than defaulting to whatever you opened first. I still catch myself defaulting to one tool out of habit when another would be clearly better for what I'm trying to do. Breaking that autopilot takes conscious effort. Here's a simple practice. Before starting your next AI task, take 5 seconds to ask which tool is actually best for this specific job. That tiny pause pays dividends. Let me share one more insight from extensive testing. The quality gap between free and paid tiers is smaller than you might expect for occasional use. If you're not sure whether you need a paid subscription, spend a month using the free tiers intentionally. Track when you hit limits. That data tells you what to pay for. Some people hit usage limits daily. Others rarely touch them. Your usage pattern is personal. Generic recommendations about premium value don't apply equally to everyone. One thing all three share: they're getting better fast. Features that were premium only a year ago are now available free. Competition is driving prices down and quality up. That competition is good for users. We benefit when 3 well-funded companies are racing to outdo each other rather than one dominant player setting the pace. The best overall AI debate is the wrong question. It's like asking what's the best vehicle when you might need a truck, a sedan, or a motorcycle depending on the trip. The professionals getting the most value from AI tools aren't the ones who pick the best model. They're the ones who learn to pick the right model for each task. So here's your action item. This week, try using a different AI for one task you normally do with your default tool. See if the results are meaningfully different. If you're a coder who defaults to ChatGPT, try Claude for one debugging session. If you're a Claude loyalist, try Gemini for one research task. Notice what changes. The goal isn't to find the one true AI assistant. It's to build a toolkit where you know exactly when to reach for each option. That's the real competitive advantage. Thanks for listening to AI Tools That Work. If this helped you clarify which AI to use, share it with someone who's still paying for 3 subscriptions they don't need. I'll see you next episode where we'll cover something just as practical. Until then, stop debating which AI is best and start matching the right tool to each job.